Hello everyone. Welcome to your easy guide to English section, and today we are going to start a very interesting topic called models and conditionals. So I say that it is interesting because it's really fun because it deals with very with weird ideas, but it's it's a bit confusing, but just because it deals with weird ideas, it's fun also. So sometimes it's confusing because it deals with abstract ideas, with uh, possibilities and uncertain things. Sometimes it strangely mixes and matches the tense, the present, the future, the past is all being strangely mixed and matched. And sometimes even the real and unreal boundaries also blurred. So it's going to be fun. So let's start this topic and let's sort it out and see how to deal with models and conditionals. So going by the definition, models are the special auxiliary verbs that give more information about the function of the main verb. So they express ability, permission, possibility, necessity, advice, probability, and obligation. So they are like the mood of the statement. For example, say someone says, let's see the use of the model can. So can, should, might, must, these are all examples of model. So before we get into the types of models, what models are, let's just see their impact on a statement. So if we say he can fly, so it's almost like we're talking about some action hero that this Akshay Kumar can fly. Some action hero can fly. So he can fly. We're talking about his ability. He should fly. So we are as if we are giving some sort of moral lecture. You know what? You should do this. This is your duty. You should fly. So the usage of the model should completely changes the mood from he can. He should fly. Some sort of say some preacher or some guruji is giving some moral lecture. He should fly. Then he might fly. So some sort of suspense thriller because you do not know whether is he going to fly in the next part of the movie. So some thrill, some suspense. So just by the change of model, you see, we've come from the religious place to the suspense thriller. So the whole mood shifts. He must fly. So it's almost like a, James Bond movie, and there is a mission that is being decided that he must fly. So you see, the by the use of the different models, the whole mood of the statement changes. So this is what models do. They express ability, permission, possibility, necessity, advice, all these things, and by their usage, you can completely change the mood of the situation. So let's look at the definition again and see what it means again. So they are special auxiliary verbs that give more information about the function of the main verb. So you see in the examples that we just did, he can fly, he should fly, he might fly, he must fly. So these auxiliary verbs can, should, might, fly, must. These are all giving more information about the verb fly. Okay, the mood of the that verb. Okay, I hope it's clear. So you should. It's not just that you're showing what is, you're showing what could be, what should be, or what might be. Let's look at a story called The Exam That Never Was. So, last week I could have studied for my exam, but I didn't. Now I might fail. If I had studied, I would have passed. If I study today, I might still have a chance. But if I don't study well, let's just say I should prepare to repeat the class. So you see, there are so many possibilities that are being talked about, that if I had done this, this could happen. If I do this might happen. If this doesn't happen. So this is the fun and sometimes confusing part about the models and conditionals, that they talk about imagination, certainties, possibilities, and all these things. So what are the words that are helping you talk about these things? Can or would have. So all these things are going to be our topic for this lecture. So we see model of possibility in the story in the form of might fail, or the model of regret, I could have studied. We will see what third conditional is, but just for now, just if I had studied, I would have passed. So we're talking about a condition, and if this condition had been satisfied, what would have happened? First conditional, if this condition would have satisfied, what would have happened again? So it was just an introduction. We'll read what these things are in greater details in the lecture further. Okay, I hope you will enjoy this so called confusing topic, and we'll really have fun. So now the models of ability. So there are two models of ability. There could be many, but like we're doing two models of ability: can and could. So we have categorized models in different functions that they can perform. So it doesn't mean that that can is only a model of ability. You'll see that it is also a model of possibility and other categories. So we have categorized models in the functions that they perform. So in terms of ability, the models can and could are used to express ability, someone's skill or power to do something. So the model can is used to express present or general ability. For example, I can swim across the river. So this is my present ability, that at this point I can do that. I, for one, cannot, but the person who is saying can. So this is general ability, the kind of language that you use on your resume. I can do this, I can do that. So can. So you're expressing ability in the present general sense. She can solve math problem easily. So present general sense, she's expressing her ability to solve the math problem. Can you lift this box? So, do you have the ability to do this at this point, generally speaking? He can speak 3 languages fluently. We can come early if you want. So, we are expressing present reality, and we are expressing our ability to do something in the present general sense. Okay. So, now could also does performs the very similar function, but the difference is that it expresses first either the ability in past, or sometimes if it is used in present, it is used to make statement more polite, because could make the statement more sophisticated. Let's look at some example. When I was younger, I could run 5 kilometers without stopping. So when, like, your grandmother or grandfather, they often use say, when I was this, I could. So this is expressing past ability of the grandfather, who's saying that when I was younger, I could run 5 kilometers without stopping. So it's expressing past ability. He could read at the age of 3. Again, when he was 3 years old, he could read. So past ability. Could you understand the lecture? So this is now using could in a polite sense. It's also sort of, maybe the lecture is over and somebody is asking that could you understand the lecture, with like slightly in the past, but also uh, about the polite, in the polite manner. Okay. She could play the violin beautifully when she was a child. Again, expressing her ability when she was a child. She could play the violin. I couldn't open the jar yesterday. So it's about the past. I and expressing my ability, lack of ability. That's also being expressed by the model could. Now, when I was making this point about polite possibility, so there's a difference between can I use your pen and could I use your pen. So could I use your pen sounds more formal. So that's the one difference, that could and can be used in a in like can replace each other in a manner. If you can use could in the sense of polite possibility. So if you're expressing general present possibility, you use can, and if you're expressing past ability, then you use could. Okay, so these are can and could are models of ability. You're trying to express your ability to swim, ability to understand, ability to lift box, ability to speak, ability to run, all those things. Okay, whether it's happening in present or past. So models of ability can and could. Now models of possibility or probability. So again, can and could, you can see they are present here also, that they are used to express possibility or some level of probability. So may, might, can, and could. These are the 4 major models of possibility and probability. Now, where do we use the model may? When there is a fair chance or a formal chance of something to happen. For example, it may rain later in the evening. So you might just look at the sky and you see there are dark clouds, and you can see the weather is showing a lot of possibility for the rain. So in this case, you will use the the model may, because there's a decent enough chance that it will rain, because you can never be 100% sure, of course, but it looks like that the weather is such that it may rain. The teacher may give a surprise test tomorrow. It's quite likely. That is 70-80% chance that the teacher will give the surprise test tomorrow. She may join us for dinner. When someone says that, do do the preparations for dinner, it's very likely that this person is going to join you. So when we use may to express some possibility, it is a stronger possibility. Okay, there's a decent amount of chance. But if we use might to express possibility, then we have slightly lesser amount of chance for that thing to happen. So it's slightly weaker and used for more uncertain and tentative possibilities. So They might go to the concert, but they're not sure. So it's very less likely that you're just thinking about it. Ki, yeah, concert is happening in the city. Should we go or should we not? So the possibility is not very strong. So we use the model might. So they might go to concert, but they're not sure. 20-30% possibility maybe. She might call you later. She's not. Most likely she's not going to call you. So that's might. So when someone is telling you, oh, I might give you a call, get the hint. I might be late for the class. So again, when your teacher says I might be late for the class, that means probably your teacher has some work and it's quite likely that your teacher will be late or anyone else. So when someone says might, there's a higher possibility of that thing to happen or not happen. Like they are slightly weaker, sorry. So I might be late for the class. That means it's quite possible for me. I mean, hey, now let's discuss the models of possibility and probability. So these are the words that tell us about the possibility of an event or how probable that event is going to happen. So we see can and could also express, while they express ability of something, a person or in past or present, they are also models of possibility and probability. And two more models in this category are may and might. So let's discuss what is the difference between their usage. So when you say something may happen, that means there's a fair chance or a decent amount of chance for that thing to happen. So the probability is higher. The possibility is stronger for that thing to happen. So if someone says it may rain later in the evening, that means you can see the dark clouds and you can see the change in the weather, and it is quite possible that it is going to rain. So if someone says it may rain later in the evening, it's better that you carry your umbrella. So the possibility is stronger. The teacher may give a surprise test tomorrow. You better be prepared, because if teacher is saying I may give you a surprise test tomorrow, the possibility is quite strong. So there is a fair chance that this thing is going to happen. So the teacher will most likely give you a surprise test tomorrow. 70 80% chance, you can say. It's quite likely. She may join us for dinner. So be ready with all the preparations, because when someone is saying I may join you for dinner, that means it is quite possible. It's slightly higher probability of this event to happen. And what is then might? Might is also used to express possibility and a probability of an event, but it is slightly weaker probability when compared to may. So when you're trying to express some event, when you're trying to talk about some future event and the possibility of that event to happen is stronger, you use may. Slightly weaker possibility, so you use might. So they might go to the concert, but they're not sure. That means they're just lying on the sofa and they heard somebody's going to the concert and they're just thinking, oh, should we go? Should we not? Very less possibilities. Very like possibility is quite weak. Probability is quite low. 10-20% chance that they'll go to the concert. She might call you later. She's not. I mean, it's very low probability or very less likely that she's going to call you. So get the hint. When she says, I might call you. Okay. Might always shows weak possibility. Okay. I might be late for a class for class. So when your teacher says, I might be late for a class, the possibility of that event to happen is quite weak. So most likely she will be on time, but she might. Very like 10-20% chance. So she's just trying to, prepare you in case she is late to do this, but most likely she will be on time. Okay. So may for stronger possibility of events, might for slightly weaker possibility of events. Okay. Can. Now what is can? Again, like in the previous case, it is again expressing general possibility. As it was expressing general ability, now it is expressing general possibility. So accidents can happen. Now, again, it's a general possibility. No? Accidents can happen. It can happen anywhere. Or your actions can trouble someone. So it's a general possibility. Like it's not specifically that your action is troubling this person or your action have this specific consequence. No, it can trouble someone. So, general possibility. What is good, theoretical, and imagined possibility? So, this this could be a big opportunity. So we are not sure, but it could be a big opportunity. So we are imagining it, that it looks like it could be a big opportunity. We're not really sure. It might in the future it might turn out to be something just stupid and useless. But at this point, it's a theory that it could be a big opportunity. Or you could win if you try harder. Again, we are imagining it. We are thinking of this future possibility that you could win if you try harder. So, again, theoretical or imagined possibility. There could be a mistake in your calculation. We are not really sure, but we are thinking that it doesn't seem right. So, we are just thinking and we are imagining the possibility. There could be a mistake. Okay? So, may expresses stronger possibility, might expresses weaker possibility, can expresses general possibility, and could expresses theoretical and imagined possibility. Okay, so these were the models of possibility and or probability. Now we also have must and can't. So must, you understand what must is. It's very strong deduction. The must, this word itself sounds so, strong. Must. So when someone says he must be tired after such a long journey, that means, I mean, you can easily deduce this, no? So if somebody has traveled a lot, they must be tired. Like, what more information do you need to understand that this person is tired? So they must be tired. You must know the answer. It's easy. You've studied. You after the when like after this, when I give you some questions, I'm going to expect and I'm going to say, you must know the answer. It's easy. So it's a stronger deduction that I'm making. That, this, if this is easy, I can deduce. I can reach this conclusion that you must know the answer. She must have left already. So I mean, I know her timing, and by this time she leaves. So I can easily deduce that she must have. So it's a very strong deduction that based on the information I can reach this conclusion. So it's a strong deduction. Must. Can't. It's a strong negative deduction. So I mean, of course, it's can't is can not. So it's a negative deduction, but a strong negative deduction. That can't be true. That mean it's like, it's not feeling like it's true. I mean, I know I have read this chapter and this inference or this argument that you're making. This can't be true. So strong negative deduction. They can't be serious about quitting. So suppose I'm a boss and I'm like managing a team. So I'm feeling like, okay, we are in the middle of this. They can't be serious about quitting. So it's a strong negative deduction. That's a strong argument that I'm making based on the situation. So strong deduction must, strong negative deduction can't. So we are talking about a future possibility again, but we are talking with more strength. The strongest is must and can't. After that, may, might, and then can, could in their specific contexts. Okay. Now, models of permission and request. So, in this, we are going to study may, can, could, would, shall. Okay, just these. So, may is used for formal and polite permission. So, when we were in school, I mean, I think you guys might still be in school. So, I don't know about you guys or what happens these days. We used to, stretch our hand like this and like, ma'am, may I come in? That was what was taught to us. In fact, I used to wonder, why can't I say, can I come in? But can is not that polite, and can is again about the ability. You can, because I mean, I have my legs, I can walk and I can enter the room. I have the ability. But may is polite and formal way of asking permission. So, may I come in? You will not say, can I come in? When can is like ability. You know about your ability. If you can walk, you can. So, may I come in? May we speak now? So, if you want to talk to somebody and you're seeking permission, say you're talking to you want to talk to your teacher and your teacher is looking in other direction, so you will be like, ma'am, may we speak now? So may is again very polite and formal way to seek permission. You may start writing your paper. So suppose you are asking for a date and I'm like, okay, you may start writing your paper from this date onwards. Or student may ask questions at the end. So it's a polite and formal way to seek permission, to ask for permission. May. Can is again informal permission. So, can I borrow your charger? Can I use your notebook? You can go home now. Can we take a break? So, in all these things, you would rather use can to seek permission from your friend rather than say from your teacher or your elders. So, it's more informal way of seeking permission. So, may is used for proper formal seeking permission. So, you can actually use for like your communication skills or for your understanding. You may just use may for always seeking permission. That will always look very formal and polite. Can I borrow your charger? So it's again informal way, because can is more in use in the a- ability, but again it is also used for seeking permission also. You can go home now. So I'm giving permission also. So not just asking permission, but also giving permission. So you can go now. You may go now is more formal way, you may go now, or you can is more informal way. So you like, you can ask, you can tell your friend, you can go home now. But if I as a teacher have to say, I will say you may go home now. Okay, so that's the difference. Could, again, it's a very polite request. Could I borrow your umbrella? Like, if you say, can I borrow your umbrella? Maybe the chances are relatively low that this person is going to agree. But could I borrow your umbrella? I mean, it's so polite that that it's high. There are higher chances that someone would agree. So it's uh content wise they are both saying the same thing, but there's a difference in tonality. So can is informal permission. Could is polite, very polite request. Could you help me with this file? Could we meet tomorrow? Could she attend the meeting on my behalf? So these are all very polite requests that you're requesting in a very polite manner. Now would is used to express polite offers or your preferences sometimes. So would you like a coffee? So you're trying to, offer coffee somebody in a very polite manner. So would you like a coffee? Polite offer. Would you mind waiting a bit? So like you want someone to wait, but you want to be very sweet about it. So you say, would you mind waiting a bit? So politely making them wait. So would you mind waiting a bit? Would you help me carry this? Would you prefer tea or juice? Again, now you're using would to express preferences. I would rather not go out today. So I'm expressing my preference for not going out. So would for polite offers or preferences. Shall. It again, it's also a way to offer, to make a polite offer, but it is more often used in British English. So if you watch some shorts and some British actors, they use shall more often. We do not use it that often in our day-to-day conversational English. Very, very rarely in in formal English also. Like, shall we begin? So that is again a formal way to say, but then it is more popularly used in British English. I don't know, I shall seek permission or something like that. Shall we begin is a best example I can think of at this point. So again, to offer something, that would be shall. For polite offers or preferences, would. Very polite request, could. Can, informal permission. May, for formal and polite permission. Okay. So models are also used to seek permission, give permission, request something, express preferences. Okay. All these things. Now, models of obligation and necessity. So the models that we're going to do here is must, have to, should, or need to. So the model must, it shows an internal compulsion or a strong necessity. So you must complete the assignment by tonight. That means it's a like strongly necessity. It's a strong necessity. You have this deadline and there is no way you can skip this one. Student must follow the rule. So it's a strong necessity. You have no other way around this. You have to follow the rules. The students must follow the rules. You must wear a helmet. So again, it's a strong necessity. We must respect our teachers. So these are all strong necessity. There is no way around it. Okay, so that's must. Have to. External requirements or compulsions. So I have to attend a meeting at 10. We have to wear uniforms at school. She has to respect to the officers. She has is a form of have. So I hope there is no confusion. They have to work overtime during audit season. So these are all external compulsions. So in must, while the rule or the compulsion was from you or actions coming from you, the external compulsions are more of something that you have to do in the sense of attending a meeting. So, for example, you following a rule is an internal compulsion that it should come from you. Okay. And external requirement is that you have to go somewhere and you have to attend the meeting. So that's an external requirement, not coming from your inside. Like you don't have to say make your mind act in a certain way that it does that. I mean, of course you have to make your mind for reaching somewhere also, but you do get a sense that following a rule and reaching somewhere at certain point, these are two different kind of necessities. So she has to report to the officer. So it's a different kind of necessity, an external requirement, not coming from within. So they have to work overtime during audit season. Again, an external but strong necessity. Okay. Should is used to express soft obligation. You should call your parents. So it's not as strong as must, but you should call your parents. It's a soft obligation. You're obligated to. But if I if someone were using must, then it would have been like an order kind of thing. But should is like if I'm like your friend is just saying, you should call your parents today. They might be feeling lonely or something of that sort. So it's a soft but obligation. Need to. Again, need is necessity. So you need to focus more in class. I need to finish this before evening. They need to get approval first. Do I need to carry the original document? So these are all expressing necessity. So must, have to, need to, should, these are all expressing your obligations and necessity, but again, with a change in the tonality. That's all. Okay. Models of habit. Models of past habits actually. So we are using would and used to. So would is used to represent repeated actions in the past. So for example, when we were kids, we would play in the garden every evening. So it's like a repeated. We were used to play. So it's a repeated action, but in the past. He would always bring me chocolates. So again, in the past, he used to bring chocolates. So it's in the repeated action, but in the past. They would walk to school together. Again, they must be going to school daily or every day, pretty much every day. So it's a repeated action in the past. On Sundays, we would visit the temple. Again, repeated action in the past. Every Sunday we used to go to temple. So it's a past thing. Now, used to is again used to, like in fact, while explaining you also, I was using used to because we were talking about past and habits and past situation. So I used to live in Mumbai. So when the situation is something that is occurring again and again, it is would, and when it is past habit, a past situation or habit, then it is used to. She used to wake up early. We used to have a dog. He used to play the flute. There used to be a library here. Okay, so you see, again, these are very minor differences. They make the difference of tone. Now, models in past form and the structure of these models. Okay, so should have, could have, might have, must have. So have give you a sense that these are going to be used for past situations only. Okay, this one is quite important, so please pay attention to this one. So should have. Now should have is used for missed, advised or regret. So I should have studied. So I mean I am regretting that now that I look at my marks, I feel like I should have studied. I mean, if I had studied, I would have like scored better. So it's a regret. Should have, it's a regret. You should have listened to me. Again, I'm like giving you about a missed, talking about a missed advice that you, if you had listened to me, maybe you didn't have to face what you're facing today. So you should have missed advice. You did not take my advice then. They should have checked the report before submitting. Again, they did not do this thing, this sort of advice. It's not exactly an advice, but they did not do this thing in the past, and now we are regretting that they should have checked the report about before submitting. She should have arrived by now. Okay, could have, unrealized possibility. He could have won if he had tried. So he did not win, but if he had tried, he could have. Unrealized possibility. You could have told me earlier. Again, you didn't tell me earlier, but you could have. Unrealized possibility. They could have helped us. They didn't help us, but they could have. Unrealized possibility. Okay, you get it? I could have taken the job. It's a possibility that is not real, that did not really happen. Now, might have. Again, it's a weak. Might, may, these are relatively weaker. Might is the weakest, may is slightly less weak. So, I mean, since you're talking about past, so may will not be used. So, it's going to be might only, might only. So, no confusions there. So, weak possibility is expressed by might. He might have gone to market. So, I mean, it's very less likely that he went to the market, but he might have gone to market. In the past, this we are expressing a weak possibility of the past. She might have misunderstood. So, suppose we have exhausted with all the possibilities that we could think of. So, we are thinking, okay, maybe she might have misunderstood. So, very less likely, but also a possibility, a weak possibility. I might have left my wallet at the cafe. They might have missed the train. So, weak possibility of the past. Now, must have strong deductions about the past. So, we know musts are strong deductions. So, since it is must have plus third form of verb, so it's a strong deduction about the past. She must have worked very hard. So, we are deducing this, that maybe I looked at someone's score and I'm saying that okay, it looks like she must have worked hard. So, I'm deducing based on her score about her actions in the past. A strong deduction about the past. They must have left early. So I'm seeing that they've reached right on time. So I am assuming that since they're coming from far off place, I am deducing that they must have left early. So strong deduction about the past. He must have forgotten the appointment. You must have been tired after the trip. So I am making a strong deduction about the past. Okay, I hope it's clear. If it is clear, let's do some exercise and check for ourselves if we have some clarity over it. You please, I would really request you to attempt this on your own, because I understand it's a bit confusing, because the differences are very slight and they are more of tonality than any straightforward rule per se. So just try to attempt these questions and see if you can answer them. Okay, and then we'll do these together. Okay, I hope you've done the question. I hope you had paused the video and attempted the questions. Now let's look at the solution. You must not park your vehicle here. It's a no parking zone. So what was the thing? You dash not park your vehicle here. It's a no parking zone. So we use must because it is expressing a very strong prohibition. So when we have to strongly emphasize on something, so we are taking the permission, but in a strong manner. Not this time we are not seeking the permission, we are taking away the permission. So since it's a no parking zone, you must not. She could speak 3 languages fluently when she was just 10. So we are talking about a past ability. So we are using could. Here it talks about what she was able to do in the past. So if we were to say she can speak 3 languages fluently, that means you're talking about present general ability. Then we will use can. Okay. I could have played you if you had I could have, sorry. I could have helped you if you had asked me earlier. Now we are using could have to show unrealized possibility in the past. So the speaker is saying that the help was possible if it didn't happen. Uh, if it hadn't, like if in the past this person had asked for help. So I could have helped you. Unrealized possibility of the past. We must finish the report today or the manager will be upset. So must is expressing a strong necessity or obligation. The urgency in the second part of the sentence or the manager will be upset supports this. Okay. May I borrow your notes for a day? So may is the like most polite and formal way to seek permission, formal permission. Okay. Since this is a polite and respectful request, may fits better. If you were to ask your say best friend, can I borrow your notes? You can also say that, can I borrow your notes? But again, it's context dependent. So in examination, if your options are on, they will not give you both may and can. Maybe they'll give you may, could, will, and the statement will be longer to give you a better context. So you stick with more formal and polite manners. Generally, he looks pale. He must be unwell. So since we are given that he looks pale, so we can strongly deduce that this person is could be unwell. So since it's a strong deduction, we'll say must. So must is here used for strong deduction based on the evidence, since the evidence is provided in the first statement. You must attend the meeting tomorrow. It's compulsory. Now, since it is the second part is saying that it is compulsory, then of course we have to use must because that's the strongest model. So it is used for obligation, a strong obligation, since it's mentioned that it is compulsory. You should have told me you were stuck in the traffic. I was so worried. So should have is expressing a missed advice or a missed duty in the past. So the speaker is saying that you should have like you didn't do something that was expected of you. Okay. When we were children, we would spend our summers in the hills. So, would is used to express habitual actions in the past. So, the sentence describes the repeated activity during childhood. You should drink more water if you want to stay healthy. Should is again used to give advice or a suggestion. The speaker is advising the listener for a healthy lifestyle. Now, with this, we've come to the end of the model section. Now we look at conditionals. What are conditionals? So, conditional sentences are sentences that show cause and effect relationship. They tell us if one thing happens, another thing will happen, might happen, or could have happened. All conditional sentences have two parts. It has a if clause, that is the condition, and it has a main clause that represents the result. So, for example, if I study hard, I will pass the exam. Here, if I study hard is the condition and I will pass the exam is the result. So that's a conditional sentence with the condition and the result. Okay. Now we move on to our next section, that is conditionals. So as the name suggests, conditionals are the sentences that show that a cause and effect relationship. So they tell us that if one thing happens, another thing will happen, might happen or would have happened. So it's sort of posing a situation, posing a condition, and then also talking about the effect of that condition. So all the conditional sentences have two parts. The if clause, that is the condition that is being posed, and the main clause, that is the effect of that condition. Okay. So for example, if I study hard, so the condition is if I study hard, I will pass the exam. So the if condition is if I study hard and I will pass the exam is the main clause, which is telling the effect of studying hard. So here I study hard is the condition and I will pass the exam is the result. So in the conditional sentences, we'll see what are the different types of conditions leading to different types of results. So the biggest challenge that conditional sentences pose is that it is sometimes difficult to understand what tense is being talked about, because a lot of them are imaginative sentences. For example, if I say, if I were rich, I'd buy a castle. Now, is it dreaming or is it planning? So, based on this, you have to decide in which tense is the condition statement, in which tense is the effect statement, and accordingly we choose the verbs, or accordingly we decide on the grammar. So it gets a little confusing in that sense. So we'll try to categorize conditional sentences and what are the different situations that they represent, and accordingly we'll simplify them and see how to deal with the grammar of conditional sentences. Okay, so let's dive into it. So the first type of conditional statement would be zero conditional. So it talks about facts and universal truth. So we use this when both parts are in the simple present tense. That is the if part and the main part. Condition and the effect both are in the simple present tense. So it is used to talk about facts, routines, and scientific truth. Things that happen if a condition is satisfied. So the structure of these statements would be if plus simple present tense for the if clause, and the second main clause is also in the simple present tense. So zero conditional, both parts are in the simple present tense because they reflect facts and universal truths. So, for example, if you heat water to 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. No, it's a fact. It's a fact. It's a universal truth. You may call it either. So, both are in the simple present tense. Simple. If you heat water to 100 degrees, it boils. If it rains, the ground gets wet. If you mix red and blue, you get purple. So here, if situation is 100% leading to the main effect situation. That if the if situation in the if clause is satisfied, then definitely we are going to get the main clause effect condition. Okay. So if is satisfied, then it is certain, it is 100% that the effect will be there. So because these are facts and universal truth, it's certain because they are facts, so it's going to happen. So it's certain. Okay. If the sun sets, it gets dark. It's certain. So we will use simple present tense. Okay. If people eat too much sugar, it's certain that they will gain weight. So if the if situation is satisfied, then the second clause will yield the effects that it is being talking about. So this is not an imagination. These are regular truths, always true, every time true. Okay. So that's why it's simple. We can see that it will be in the simple present tense because they are always true. So simple present tense. Okay. I hope it's clear. Now, the first conditional. So it talks about real future possibilities. So let's see what real future possibilities are. These are the possibilities that's something that has not happened till now, but it is very much possible, and it is a realistic possibility that it can happen in future. So the first conditional is used to talk about real and possible situations in the future. It's not just a freckle of imagination. It's a real possibility. These are not imagined things. So these are not guaranteed truths because, of course, anything that has not happened always carries a sense of uncertainty. Anything that is to happen in future, howsoever sure it feels it will happen, but still there is 1% chance I don't know, an asteroid might hit the earth and the earth is destroyed in a matter of minute. That thing won't happen. So anything can happen. No. So it is very certain but not guaranteed, unlike the zero conditional statements. So the likely outcomes, things can happen if the condition is met. So you can, if I were to put a number on it for the sake of better understanding, you can say these are things that have say 90% or plus possibility, that it is very sure but you cannot say it with 100%. You cannot guarantee it. Okay. So the structure of these kind of statements is the if clause is in the form of if plus present tense, that is simple present tense, and the main effect clause is in the form of will, can, may, or base verb. And how do you choose will, can, may? As we discussed in the models part, based on the context of the statement. So if clause always stays in the present simple, but the result clause can be flexible based on what you want to say, whether you're talking about a possibility, advice, seeking permission, or obligation. Okay, so if you study well, you will pass the test. So it's not 100% sure, but if you study well, it is 99% sure. Again, an asteroid can hit the earth and the earth can be destroyed. That's also a possibility, no? So you cannot say anything with 100% certainty because you have yet not written the test and you have yet not passed the test. But it is like pretty certain that if you study well, then you will definitely pass the exam. 99% sure. If it rains tomorrow, we will stay indoors. So if it rains tomorrow, we will stay indoors. Again, why would we go out and get drenched in rain? We will stay indoors. But suppose some accident happens, some mishappening happens, something out of the blue happens, there can be 1% chance that we might have to go out. So if it rains tomorrow, like that's the plan. 100% we are going to stay indoors. But like 99% we are going to stay indoors. But like something can happen in future. So it's not 100% sure, unlike the previous one where the universal truths were being talked about, but it is almost certain that if the if condition is satisfied, then the effect or the result condition is going to happen. So this is a very real future possibility. Okay, if you don't eat breakfast, you will feel tired. So science also says that. But who knows, maybe you've had a few shots of alcohol and you are in a different zone altogether, or maybe you're very anxious and you just don't even realize your tiredness, and maybe later on you eat and you do not have to go through all this tired phase. So like anything can happen, no, this like anything out of the world can also happen. So for that, anything you keep 2-3% margin of uncertainty, but otherwise it's almost certain 90%, 97% possibilities even. So it is real and it is future possibility. Okay, if they arrive late, we will start without them. So again, it is also a very real possibility that because we have to cover this thing, so we will start without them. If you finish your work, you can go out. Okay, again, I'm permitting you that if you finish your work, it's a real future possibility that you can go out. Now how do you choose can, may, might, must, should? As we have done in the models, we quickly go through these. Using can to show ability and possibility. So if you finish early, you can go home. So here again, it's the first conditional statement because it is a real future possibility that if you finish early, you can go home. There is no issue. But again, if some happening happens, so we are using can instead of will because we can use will, can, may depending on the context. If in the context we are seeking permission, we can use can. If in the context we are trying to get permission or talking about a smaller possibility, say if you ask nicely, your teacher may give you extra time. So we are using may here. Using might to show a weaker possibility. So if we leave now, we might catch the bus because we're not really sure how fast we walk or if there are going to be any obstacles on the way. Maybe there's some dog that scares us and we stand there waiting for someone to come and then we walk with them. This happens with me. So there can be anything that can happen. So for a weaker possibility, we can use might. For a relatively stronger possibility, we can use may. To ask for permission or to show ability, we can use can or may. So the again, the structure of the statement is if clause will be in the present tense. So if plus present tense, and the main clause will be will, can, may plus base form of verb depending on the context. Also, you should never use will in the if clause. So you can never say if he will come, so this will happen. No, if he comes. Okay, you will never use will in the if clause. Always remember that. It is a very frequently asked questions in spot the error kind of question. If you will dash 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 whatever. So in the if clause, you never use will. Okay, remember that. Now the second conditional statement. What are these used for? So they are used to talk about unreal, imaginary, or unlikely situation in the present or future. So now we are coming to the imaginary world. Up for the first zero and first conditional, we were talking about real things. Now things are getting a little dreamy. So we are talking about unreal, imaginary, or unlikely situation in the present or future. So you're not saying that something will happen. You are imagining what would happen if things were different. So if things were different, that is, you're imagining a different past. And what will happen? You're imagining something for future. So you're imagining a lot. Khayali pulao all over the place. So that's your second conditional. So uh, an example would be, if I were rich, I would travel the world. Abhi real world mein neither you are rich nor you are traveling the world. You are sitting in your room and you are in your books. You are just cramming the grammatical rules and practicing reading passages. That's your reality. So here, so a lot of imagination is going on in second conditional. You're cooking a lot of khayali pulao. So if I were rich, I would travel the world. That would be the second conditional about unreal, imaginary, or unlikely situation. So the structure of these kind of statements would be if plus past simple, and the main clause could have would, could, might plus the base form of verb. So even though the confusion sometimes can be that even though the second clause is talking about the present or future, we still use the past tense with the if, because we have also talked about the tense consistency, that for the if the first part is in past tense, we are saying if I were rich, and were is past tense. How is the second part dealing with the present or future? But this is because we are imagining things in the present or future, and we are making the change in the past. So that is why the first if clause is using were and not following the first and not the present tense as in the second part. Okay, because we are imagining we are imagining and we are changing our past. That, just imagine an alternate scenario that I were rich. So we are talking about the past. No, I am making this change in my financial status in the past, because if this thing was my past, then my present situation will be this way. So I am talking in two tenses, two timelines are present in this one. So when two timelines are present, we use two different tenses for the first part, because we're making the change in our past. So we will use if I were. Another confusion can be, ma'am, with I, why are we using were? Why not we use was? So in the formal English, you always use were. Okay, you're not supposed to use was. Was can be technically speaking grammatically correct, but it's not the formal way to go. And for your for your understanding also, just forget that was is technically correct also. You always use I if I were, and never if I was. If I were you, I would talk to the teacher. Okay, so if I were you, whenever you are imagining things, you will always, always, always say if I were, if I were. Even in the lecture, if you had noticed, I often use this phrase, if I were to say this, if I were to say that, if I were, because whenever we are imagining, we always use the clause if I were, if I were. Okay, just get it set in your mind. Okay, so again, based on the context, you can use would, could, might, and the base verb. So if you're trying to show a definite imagined result, if I won the lottery, I would buy a house. Matlab, this is so definite that there is no two thoughts about it, because I really need the house. So if I had the money, I am pretty certain that if I won the lottery, I would buy the house. So this is a certain imagined result. Like, this is on my bucket list and I'm sure I will do this. To show the ability or possibility, like relatively weaker, you can say could. So if I had a car, I could drive to work. So this is like again an ability, because at this point I do not have the car, and hence I cannot drive to work. So if I had the car, I could drive to work. So it's a possibility and also my ability that if this clause happens, I will have the ability to do this. Okay. And might, again, to show a weaker or uncertain possibility. Might is a very classic word, because the word might also means strength. The mighty Roman Empire, it means like a strong strength. But in terms of grammar, might is always showing a weaker possibility. So might के साथ तो बहुत scam हुआ है. So it's been scammed. So might is used to show a weaker or uncertain possibility. If he studied harder, he might pass the test. So again, you understand that the second conditionals are talking about unreal, imaginary, or unlikely situation. In the if clause, the situation is in the past, and in the main clause, the situation can be in the present or future. If I were rich, I would travel the world. If you if oh sorry, yeah, if I won the lottery, I would buy a house. So none of this is happening. I am not winning any lottery. I am not buying a house in my like real present plans. But if I won the lottery, that is, if this had happened, or if so, this is also an imagination, and buying a house is also an imagination or unreal situation. Okay, clear? Now, if it is clear, quickly let's do these 5 questions or based on the second conditional and models. So just pause and quickly just do it in few seconds. Okay, now let's look at it. If I knew his number, I would call him because I definitely intend to call him. That if only because I didn't have his number, I could not call him. So if I knew his number, I would call him. So a definite intention. If we had a bigger kitchen, we could cook together. So like the ability is being hampered by the like kitchen is smaller, so there is a limitation that is being expressed. So if that limitation was removed, we will have the ability to do this. So if we had a bigger kitchen, we could cook together. If she were more confident, she might speak up. So again, matlab, it's not necessary every confident person always speaks up. So it's a weak possibility that if she were more confident, then there is a possibility that she might speak up. Abhi to not at all. Abhi, she's not confident, and there is absolutely no possibility that she will speak up. But if she were more confident, then she might speak up. Little possibility. If I were a bird, I dash fly across the ocean. I would or I could. Both can be fine. Okay? Because it's a definite thing also that like a bird flies, so bird would fly, and bird also has the ability to fly. So I as a bird I will have the ability to fly, and as a bird I will have the intention to fly. So both could be acceptable. If they played better, they dash win the match. They might or could, again, depending on how good the team is. So if you're not really sure if they played better and the team is weak, you will say might. If the team is stronger, you would say could. So they might win the match or they could win the match. Okay. Now the third conditional. The third conditional is used to talk about imaginary situation in the past, things that didn't happen, but we are now thinking about what would have happened if they had. Okay. So it's mostly talking about regret, about some relief, and some missed opportunities. So if you are regretting that, oh, if only if this thing had not happened, no, I would have like changed the world. Or relief, oh God, if this thing had happened, no, shit, my life would have been like so problematic. Thank God that this thing didn't happen. Or missed opportunities, like only if I were present in in the class that day, I would have been the class monitor, something like that. So it's talking about imaginary situations in the past and things that did not happen, but if they had happened, what will happen? Okay, you getting? Okay, let's look at the example. If I had studied, I would have passed. So the present situation is I'm looking at my score and I have failed. So now I am going to the past, I am regretting. I'm going to the past and I'm changing, I am imagining, okay, what if I had studied? And I'm also thinking about future. I would have passed. So both the imaginations. I am expressing a regret because I'm changing about my past also. If I had studied, because in the past I did not study. So I'm thinking an alternate past if I had studied. So I'm thinking an alternate present also. I would have passed. So the past was I did not study, the present is I did not pass. But I'm thinking now about the alternate past. If I had studied, I'm thinking about alternate present. I would have passed. Okay, get it? So the structure is if plus past perfect, that is had plus third form of verb, and then would have, could have, might have plus third form of verb. Okay, so if she had left earlier, she could have caught the train. So the present situation is that she didn't leave on time, and then she has missed the train. So now I am regretting this, and if I am saying that if she had left earlier, alternate past and alternate present also, that she could have caught the train. Okay, if we had called the doctor on time, she might have survived. Okay, this type expresses something that did not happen and now cannot be changed. So it's often used to talk about past mistakes or lost opportunities. So third conditional पे एकदम depressing माहौल है. It's very depressing here at this point. So it's about regrets, lost opportunities. Okay, like zero में everything was real. First maybe everything was real, but real में थोड़ा सा a tinge of uncertainty because future की बात हो रही है. We're talking about future. Second, in the second we are entering the dreamy world now, and by third conditional we are getting quite depressed now that we are talking about lost opportunity. Okay, I hope it's clear. If it's clear, then let's do these 5 questions quickly. If I had known it was your birthday, okay. If I had known it was your birthday, I would have sent you a gift. If they had listened to me, they could have avoided the mistake. If we had booked the tickets earlier, we might have gotten better seats. If she had studied law, she would have become a lawyer. If it had rained, the match would have been cancelled. Okay, so we're talking about regrets. We are talking about relief. For example, in the last one, we are talking about lost opportunities. Okay, so that's the third conditional for you. Now let's quickly go through all the 4 categories. So zero conditional, always true, scientific facts. The structure is if plus simple present tense in the if clause, and the main clause also simple present tense. If you heat ice, it melts. Simple truth, there is no two ways about it. First conditional, real future possibility. So the if clause is if plus present simple, and the main clause will, can, may, might plus the might plus base form of verb. So if it rains, we will stay home. Second conditional, unreal or unlikely or present future. If plus past simple in the if clause, would, could or might in the second clause. So if I were you, I would say sorry. Third conditional, unreal past, regret, relief, lost opportunities. So the structure is if plus past perfect in the if clause, and would, could or might have for the main clause. So if I had studied, I would have passed. Okay, clear? But we have one more category. The life is not so easy, no? So just one more category, that is mixed conditionals. So as the name suggests, they combine different parts from different types of conditionals. So using mixing time reference. As if you were not confused enough about the time references, that we had to bring mixed conditionals also. So we often use them when we are talking about the condition in the past, but the result is in the present or vice versa. Okay, let's look at the example. If I had studied medicine, I would be a doctor now. Now, the if condition is in the past. Studying medicine is in the past, like it's about what I did in the past or what I could have done in the past. So, the if condition is dealing with the past tense. But the effect of that thing is in the present. I am not a doctor today because I did not do this. So if I had done this, I would be a doctor. So the effect is in the present and the thing happened in the past. So the condition is present in the past, and the present or the effect is of it is felt in the present. Okay, so if this is the situation, the structure of the statement will be if plus past perfect, and for main clause, would plus base form of verb. So past condition leading to present result, if plus past perfect, and would plus base form. So if I had studied medicine, I would be a doctor now. But so if I were to say, if I were like if do not get confused. For example, if I were smarter, I would have solved the puzzle. So here I am talking, the if condition is in the present tense and the result of it is in the past. So because the condition is that I came across a puzzle and I cannot solve it. So this thing has happened. I could not solve the puzzle. So now I am saying that if I were smarter, I'm not smart. At this moment, I am not smart. So if I am, please. If I were smarter, I would have solved the puzzle. So the fact that I could not solve the puzzle, which is past now, I could have done it. There could have been a change in it if I all of a sudden become smart. If some miracle, if I could get a jadoo from some other planet and I become instantly smart, I could have changed the present. I could have changed the past. That the fact that I could not solve the puzzle. Okay, is it making sense? Because I am not smart enough, so I failed to solve it. So here the present condition is leading to a past result. Past result, that is not being able to solve the puzzle. So here the structure of the statement is if plus past simple, and the main clause is in would have plus past participle. If I were smarter, I would have solved the puzzle. So it is used to express complex cause and effect across different time zones. Not time zones, but across different times. Like regret about the past affecting your present, or your current limitations affecting your past actions. Okay, so let's look at these and quickly solve these 5 questions. If I had taken the job in Delhi, I dash live in Mumbai now. So I would not live or I would not be living in Mumbai now. So if I had taken a job in Delhi, so past condition leading to present result. The job decision was in the past, but it affects the present. So if I had taken the job in Delhi, I would not live in Mumbai now, or I wouldn't be living in Mumbai now. If she spoke Spanish, she dash more fun during the trip to Spain. She would have, because the present condition is leading to a past result. She doesn't speak Spanish now, so she did not, like, the past trip was not, she did not enjoy it. It was not good enough, whatever. If he had studied engineering, he dash as an architect now. He would not be working as an architect now because the past condition is impacting your present result. If they had moved to Canada, they dash better job opportunities today. So if they would have or would be having. So past condition again impacting the present result of their job opportunities. If she had taken the earlier flight, she dash here with us now. She would be here with us now. So past condition impacting the present result. So you can remember the format. Okay. There's also one small variation that I would like to bring to your notice. So until this point, we have seen that the condition statement, the first clause always uses the word if. And even in the exam, like 90%, 90 to 95% chances there that the clause if will be used. But just to prepare you, there can be a situation where the if word, if can be replaced by unless. So do not get confused. Unless only means if not. Just read it as if not. So if you study, unless you study, you will fail. So it is saying if not you study, you will fail. Okay, just read it as if not. Similarly, we can also use replace if by provided that or as long as. So, for example, you can go out provided that you finish your work or provided you finish your work. You can also read it as you can go out if you finish your work. Okay. So do not get confused when you look at these words. If you see a conditional where you see there are two parts, one is posing condition and one is talking about its effect, and you do not see an if there. So just whatever the word has been used, just for the sake of your convenience, read it as if. Suppose in case has been used. Take an umbrella in case it rains. You can always read it as take an umbrella if it rains. Okay. It's only the kind of statement is such that in case is sounding better here, but for the sake of you realize like recalling your grammatical rules, just read it as if in your mind. Or sometimes even when the word when is used for real future. When he arrives, we will start. So if he arrives, also same, like it's not 100% same, but it's 90% same. But for the sake of you or your convenience, you can read it as if. Okay. Now, let's do some more questions. You have to spot the error in these statements. So, if you will not listen, that is your option A. To what the teacher is saying, option B. You will miss option C, and an important announcement. So, of the four parts in the statement, which part has the error you have to spot? So, the answer is in the first conditional if clause, we use the present simple and we never use will along with if in that. So, if you will not listen is wrong. If you don't listen. So, if you do not listen, you will miss an important announcement. Second question, if I was the principal if of the school, I would have I would have cancelled the morning assembly today. So, here again, if I were, and as I had told you that we never say if I was. On the technical grounds, it's correct, maybe but it's always if I were. It's never I was. Okay, for proper mixed conditional, the result clause should be in the present tense, and it should be if I were. Okay, or there is also an alternative possibility. I mean, if I had been the principal, I would have cancelled the morning assembly today. So that's also fine. But if I was is not the right option. If he studied hard, he will pass the entrance exam without any difficulty. So here, if he studied hard, like what is the option B saying? This is a mixed situation. Sorry, this one mixes a second conditional if clause with the first conditional, because he will pass. We can say this with 100% certainty only when we're talking about universal truth or some fact. It's not a fact. So if he studied hard, he would pass the exam. And if he's a weak student, we will say he might pass the exam. So he will pass the exam. We will never say unless it's a fact or a universal truth. Only then we will use this. We can use will and the present, simple present, which is the zero conditional for you. Okay. She would have completed A, the project on time, B, or if she was given, C, proper guidance, D. So which part has the error? So option C, if she was given is wrong. So the answer would be she would have completed the project on time if she had been given the proper guidance. So you have to remember the structure of all the parts and you just have to identify which conditional is being talked about. Okay, let's quickly do these 5 questions and I think that will be the end. No, another 5 and that will be the end. So if he had studied medicine, he dash a doctor now. He would be a doctor now because this is not a universal truth. This is not a dream. This is a real possibility. He would be a doctor now. If I were you, I dash the matter seriously. I would take the matter seriously. If it rains tomorrow, we dash the trip. We will cancel the trip. Again, a real possibility. If you mix yellow and blue, you dash the green. You get the green. You get green. This is zero conditional. If I had left on time, I dash the bus. I would have caught the bus. If he had not lied, she dash him. She would have forgiven him. If you heat ice, it dash into water, it melts into water. Zero conditional. If they had listened to the warning, they would be safe now. If I find your wallet, I will inform you immediately. Had I known about the test, I would have prepared better. Okay? With this, we come to the end of this lecture. I hope you've understood how to use different model words, and how to deal with the conditionals, how to not get confused about the real things, imaginary things, present, past, and all those things. And it's a bit complicated, but it's very simple if you just get the essence of it, and then you can start enjoying it. So just if even at after going through the lecture and at the end you do not feel 100% certain about it, I would request that just go through it once more and definitely you will feel settled in the next go when you're going through the lecture. So thank you so much for your patience and I'll see you again in the next lecture. See you. Bye bye.